what is the biggest mistake product managers make? So when someone asks you what is user research, well, it is a systematic way of understanding users' problems, behaviors, motivations, so that we as product managers can make better product decisions. So whenever as a product manager you have questions related to quantity, right? How many, how often, what percentage, how much, then you rely on quantitative research. Some of you are into product management, some of you are trying to become a product manager, some of you are doing the work of a product manager already. So in my opinion, it's very important that you understand the basic concepts of user research and why user research is one of the most important things a product manager can learn about. So we are going to talk about what user research is. We are going to cover the two techniques of user research, the qualitative research, the quantitative research. And then we are going to talk about what are some of the methods in the qualitative bucket of research and in the quantitative bucket of research. So it's important that as a product manager, user research is one of the tools that you have in your toolkit. I would start with my introduction. I'm Anukul and I've been in digital world for almost 17 years now. I've been in product for more than a decade. I built mobile applications, e-commerce solutions, point of sale from 0 to 1. But I've also taken products to scale, so to multiple regions, rollout, expansion. So I start with a question. I would like to take your opinion, a poll. What is the biggest mistake product managers make? You have 4 options. The first option is not shipping fast enough. That means you're not shipping enough features fast to the market. Second one is building without understanding the product's user. So you're building something, but you don't know for whom you are building it or why you are building it. Or you're focusing too much on matrix, or you're trying to copy competitors. Which one is the biggest mistake? Don't think too much. Just give me an answer now.
I think it's B.
Is it B because the session name is user research, or do you really believe that's the problem?
So, and then
Please go ahead.
I think B.
B?
Yeah. Okay. We truly believe this is something, we cannot ignore, and without having understanding of the users, if someone starts building the product, it would be a chaos.
Yeah. Because in the end, you're building product for your end users, isn't it? B2B, B2C doesn't matter. In the end, a human being is going to use this product. So we all agree that it's about this particular bullet point, building without understanding the product's user. So we should all build product with a solid understanding of our product's end users. Yeah. That takes us to our next slide. As a product manager, if you're working in an organization, then you are hired to make better product decisions. On a daily basis, you will be making tens of decisions, and your goal is basically to make better product decisions. All decisions that you are going to make should lead to the success of your product, right? And you will operate in 2 spaces, right? So you will try to build the right product, and you will try to build the product right. On the left side is the problem space, right? So you try to understand what is the problem that I'm trying to solve. And on the right side, you focus on delivery, right? Are we building it the right way? So everything that you do in user research will help you make better product decisions. On the left side, building the right product, and also towards the right side, which is building the product right. So what is user research? Just like everything else in the world, we have to define it, right? It's basically about the problems that the users have, the behaviors that they have, the motivations that they have in their life. And you as a product manager, try to understand that in a systematic way. Why? Because you want to make better product decisions. So when someone asks you what is user research, well, it is a systematic way of understanding users' problems, behaviors, motivations, so that we as product managers can make better product decisions. Types of user research. You might have heard about this, right? Quantitative research. Let's run a quantitative research. Let's run a qualitative research. Any idea what these terms mean? Anyone here who knows what quantitative research is?
Yeah. So basically, the quantitative research goes into the numbers, like the customer demographics. Again, crunch into the numbers, right? Basically, the market. How much is the market? Who are our customers? What is the age group of those customers?
Yes.
Like, and the preferences.
Yeah. So in short, I would say, so what you said is absolutely right. It's about numbers. It's about data. It's about using data to generate those insights. It's about quantitative, right? It's about quantities. And any idea what a qualitative research is?
It is about the depth
core interest of the customers, like what leads them to reach to the product.
Yes. So as
Basically interest.
yeah.
Yeah.
So as Prashant mentioned, it's about the depth. It's about the why. Why? It's about the motivation. It's about the behavior. Let's start with quantitative research first. Quantitative research, as Swarup mentioned, is about using numbers and data. As a product manager, whenever you have a question that how many users are using my app, how many users are giving me a 5-star rating or my product a 5-star rating, how often do they visit my app or my website, what percentage of users are dropping before the checkout, what percentage of users are successfully checking out, how much time do they spend on my product, how much is the average order value, how much is the basket size. So whenever as a product manager you have questions related to quantity, right? How many, how often, what percentage, how much, then you rely on quantitative research. There are techniques in the umbrella of quantitative research. One of the technique is called A/B testing. The other one is funnel analysis. Then we have surveys, and nowadays you will have survey fatigue because a lot of people are always launching a survey online. So there is also something called survey fatigue. And then we have product analytics. Let's start with A/B testing. As the name says, it's about comparing two versions of something. So if you have a product or a screen, then it's about creating one variant and one original version. And then you compare which one actually performs better. How do you define the performance? So you basically think about conversion, or you think about engagement, you think about what is the key performance indicator, and based on that you measure which one is going to perform better. As I said, it's about two versions. So version A is generally the current version. Version B is the new variation. For example, when I was launching my course, I had a button called Learn More on my website. And I created another variant of the same button, and the button text was Enroll Now. Can you guess which one would have performed better, Learn More or Enroll Now? Since it's a quantitative method, you try to gather a large sample size. So it's not only about 5 or 6 users, I'm talking about hundreds of users. On a typical e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart, if you launch an A/B test, then it will run for a month and you will look at a sample size of 50,000 or 60,000 users to conclude. So it's not only about 5 or 6 users, it's about thousands of users. So the numbers from my experiment was I had version 1 converting 18% and I had version B converting 34%. So significant difference between the two versions on my website. Surveys, another technique in the umbrella of quantitative research. Surveys. You might have seen thousands of surveys going around in the market. If you have, for example, a subscription of a Netflix or maybe some other subscription, and then you decide to cancel the subscription, you might see a question like this. What is the main reason you are canceling your subscription? Is it too expensive? Is it missing features? Is it hard to use? And is it that you're switching to competitors? Why would a product manager ask this question when somebody is leaving the subscription? Can you think of a reason why a product manager would like to know?
Yeah, to understand what exactly is lagging in the product.
Yes.
And to make the product better.
Generate some kind of segments. Like how many users are actually finding it too expensive? How many users are thinking that we are missing features? How many users are finding it hard to use? And how many are actually switching to competitors? And then once I can generate insights, then I'll be able to focus on that particular thing. So let's say after this survey, you get 45% of the users saying it is hard to use. 30% of users are switching to competitors. 15% are finding it too expensive, and 10% are saying it's missing features. Then I will not focus on adding any more features because nobody is complaining about features. I will also not change the pricing of the product. What I would look at is the usability of the product because they are telling me that the product is hard to use. So it helps me go in the direction based on numbers. Question again, Anchor. As a product manager, your role is to make better product decisions. Does this help you make better product decisions? It does, right?
Yes.
Because it helps you, it gives you a direction.
But on these lines, Anupur, like there was a blog sort of which I was reading where, so surveys these days, like you mentioned, survey fatigue, there's just n number of surveys these days in the market. So users don't really take time out to survey something diligently. It's just a matter of getting out of the pop-up so that they can perform whatever action they are trying to. So at times, actually most of the times, it's not really accurate. So it's rather suggested to be able to track it based on the behavior of the user on the screen, right? For example, the CTRs, or for how much of time the users are staying, and then where exactly they're navigating, and if they're coming back again, are they trying to compare those things? It should be measured through the clicks rather than these surveys. So
Yeah.
what needs to be done here? Because the surveys these days are just a repetition of what has been happening. That's all.
Yeah, I think as you rightly mentioned, right, there are so many surveys in the market, and people don't really take surveys seriously anymore. So, survey alone should not be a decision-making tool. It should be combined with other techniques, for example, funnel analysis, as you mentioned, or product analytics, or seeing where the user is dropping off, for example. So you're right, actually, survey, you cannot just rely on surveys anymore. 5 years back, yes, that was the case. People used to take surveys seriously to make
So
a
it still
decision.
continues to be one of the major ways of user research, because these do help in research, but it just depends on how
Yeah.
seriously user.
How serious? So sometimes when you launch a survey, right, you also decide on the target user. So you create a kind of a user persona. You say, okay, these are my target users. You also try to give them sometimes an incentive. Say, hey, if you participate in this survey, you are going to get a coupon of whatever X, Y, Z rupees or dollars. But again, if user is already leaving your product, until unless the user is genuinely invested in making the product better, he or she is not going to give you the right answers, right? Because he already has decided to leave. I think that takes us to the next technique, which is funnel analysis, right? If I have to define what a funnel is basically a series of steps. So for example, if somebody is buying a washing machine online, then he or she will look at the product page first, then add the washing machine to the cart, then make a payment, then wait for delivery, and then write a review, isn't it? A series of steps. So funnel analysis basically helps you to see how users actually move through a series of steps and identify where they drop off. So I did a kind of an exercise on my own website. I have three steps before a person can actually enroll in my course. So the first one was, okay, go to the page. The second was, okay, think about or read about the details of the course, and then finally enroll in the course. And I observed that almost, if 10,000 users have seen this course, only 4,000 went to the next step and only 400 actually converted in the course. Where is the problem? Where do you think is the biggest problem? Second step, right? Almost 90% of my users have gone down here, right? If my mathematics is correct, it's 90%, isn't it? 4,400, so 10% only converted, isn't it? Whereas here it was 60%, isn't it? Is my maths correct here? 60%, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then I would actually focus as a product manager on this particular part of my funnel. I would say, why 90% of my users are dropping? What can I do to make it better? What can I do to increase my conversion? Going back to the anchor slide, does it help me make better product decisions? Yes. And then the last one in the quantitative umbrella of research is product analytics. Product analytics, as you said, Soumya, is about putting Google Analytics, mixed panel analytics in the product to see how users are behaving. So when I launched this product, Talify, to learn Dutch in fun and interactive way, so I actually learned that almost 33% of my users from Amsterdam, 17 from Haarlem, 11 from Rotterdam, and almost 37% of my users were actually playing a dice game on my website. So then I know which feature of my product was the most engaging one. So if I summarize quantitative research, as also Swaroop mentioned at the start of the presentation, that it is about using data. Use numbers, and then use those numbers to make decisions based on evidence and not assumptions.
So Anukul, based on what we understand, there are the four methods we discussed. All the methods are like after using the product, we get some feedback. So can we say that quantitative research is done while the product is live, or there is other part to the story?
Primarily, yes, quantitative is used when the product is already live, but quantitative can also be used to generate insights So it also helps me, at the early stage of my product development. Qualitative research, I think Prasant mentioned it's about the depth, right? It's about the why. Abhishek mentioned it's about understanding user behavior. So spot on. If you want to understand the thoughts of the users, if you want to understand the feelings of the users, if you want to understand the motivation that the user has, what is she trying to achieve? Why is she trying to achieve that? What is the goal? What are some of the past experiences she had? What are some of the past experiences he would like to have? Huh? So it's about really understanding the situation of your end user. So putting yourself in the shoes of the end user and trying to observe, trying to conclude, try to generate some insights. You actually use a lot of open-ended questions in qualitative researches. Tell me about a time that you had this, or tell me about a situation where you had to face this. So you use these kind of open-ended questions. 4 techniques that I would like to cover as part of qualitative research today are these: user interviews, so interviewing users, usability testing, field observation, and open-ended questions. And qualitative research is not done in numbers. So I'm not talking here about 5,000 users or 50,000 users. 5 to 10 users, is a good sample size for qualitative research to give you the insights. The first one is usability. I think you all know usability. Usability is about finding if the product is usable or not. If I give you a washing machine and you want to wash clothes, you are not able to figure out where is the door of the washing machine, then that washing machine is not usable for you. So usability is basically trying to identify if there is a confusion, if there is a friction, if there is a usability issue in the product. A scenario could be you build a new onboarding flow for your own app or for a product that you work with, a sign-up flow or a sign-in flow, something like this. And then you're basically trying to see where the friction is. So you ask 5 users that, hey, could you create an account and set up a profile? And you do nothing, you just observe. And when you observe, you see that 3 users are actually not able to set a password, 2 users are missing up on the continue button, and 4 users actually did not check the privacy or contact me in future checkbox that you wanted them to check. So the insight that you generate is, okay, we created this design. The design actually makes sense to us, makes sense to the team, but the users are not really able to use it. That's basically usability, to find out if the users are able to use your product to get the job done. Then the next one is open-ended questions, and you will see this quite a lot as part of surveys, right? So if somebody is asking you what is the main reason you are canceling, they will also give you a text area to fill anything that you would like to share. And this is also a qualitative way of learning, right? This is also something that you will not be able to capture as part of the segmentation that you have done in this survey. Have you seen this kind of text area in one of the surveys that you were part of? Right,
yeah, the same example what you have given, Netflix one, right? I think there also we have some options.
Great. So
also this is quite common in most of the, like wherever the subscription involves and you are trying to exit that. So it will ask you what is the reason of leaving.
Yeah. And did you enter any information in this text area? So when
no,
right? A lot of people don't do that. So that's what I'm trying to say. When it's
when
it's a breakup, then of course people don't talk to each other. So we have the next one, which is called field observation. Field observation is that you observe users in their natural environment. A classic example is if you are building a software or a digital product for doctors, you would like to go in the hospital to see how does the day of a doctor look like. If you are building software for restaurant managers, you would like to go and sit in the restaurant to see how busy these restaurant managers are. So the idea is that you go closer to your end users, to your product's users, and then try to understand what they are doing, how they are doing. And I think the last one for today is user interviews. As I said, structured conversation with users to deeply understand their problem. You try to really understand why they are sad, what is the problem they are facing, and what can you do to help them. So you're trying to understand their problems, behaviors, motivations, and needs as part of user interviews. A scenario could be that you want to build a task management app. Of course, nobody wants to build a task management app now, right? I just took a simple example, but I know none of you want to build a task management app. But let's say you want to build a task management app. So instead of asking, would you use this app? You could ask, how do you currently manage tasks? Do you use a notepad? Do you use an Excel sheet? Tell me about a time where you missed a deadline. Why did you miss it? How do you prioritize your task? What tools are you using today, etc. So you try to ask open-ended questions so that the user can give you more than a yes or no answer. And the insight could be that people don't struggle with task tracking, they struggle with prioritization. So when you are building this task app, you focus more on prioritization instead of task tracking. So it gives you direction. So if I have to sum up qualitative research in a couple of sentences, then qualitative research helps product managers understand user motivations and uncover hidden problems. So next time when you see a survey, when you are part of the survey, when somebody gives you a survey to fill, do reverse engineering or do a reverse analysis. Think about what is this product manager trying to learn from me as part of this survey. I have so that's your homework. I have an upcoming webinar on KPIs next Sunday. Same way, you can go to the website if you're interested, and you can enroll in the KPIs